Baruch Hashem. Today's Daf Yomi is Avodah Zarah, Daf Lamed, Avodah Zarah 30. Today's Daf is dedicated for a Shmir for the Chayalim, a Tzala for the Shvuyim, and a Yeshua for Am Yisrael in this Eis Tzara. So we're going to start on Lamed Amid Aleph on 30a, 2 lines from the top. So it says the Gemara, Tana Rabbanon, Yayim Mevushal. Let's say we've been discussing the Yayim Mevushal, the wine that was pasteurized, that was cooked, that was heated up, that is something which is different from regular wine. So if there's Yayim Mevushal, or there is alontis, if it's cooked wine or alontis of Ovdei Kochavim, and we'll see what the alontis is, but basically it is a special wine that was used for medicinal purposes. So if you have the cooked wine or the alontis wine of idolaters, asurin. So we're going to say under those circumstances, if it belonged to the idolaters originally, it's prohibited for a Jew to use. And the reason is because it started off as wine. And so therefore the idolater might have used it as a libation, as a nisuk. And so therefore it's going to be prohibited, even though it's no longer able to be used for a libation. But alontis kivriyasa muteris. But if the idolater didn't have it initially speaking as an alontis, as wine, but he got it as an alontis, then it's going to be permitted. Ve'ezuhi alontis. What is this alontis? What is this alontis? So, Kizitanya, like we learned, Gabe Shabbos, it says with respect to Shabbos, Osin inumlin, the ain't osin iluntis. On Shabbos, you're allowed to make any inumlin, which is a wine that you make for drinking purposes, but you can't make any iluntis. Ve'ezui ilunmin, ve'ezui iluntis. What are these things? Anumlin is a yayin vidvash upilpulin. It's wine, honey, and pepper. And iluntis is yayin yashan, is old wine, umayim tzalulin, and clear water. Rashi says that you drew the water and it stood in the utensil for 1 or 2 days to become clearer, and then you filter out the top, and then you use it. So aluntis yashan umayim tzalulin va'forsimon, and also balsamic. And also balsamic, the avdi lebei misuta, that you make for the purposes of when you come out of the bathhouse. Rabbi Rav Yosef to Amri Travayo, Rabbi Rav Yosef, Rabbi Rav Yosef, both of them say together, Yain Mazog Ein Bo Mishum Giloy Yayin. That Rabbi and Rav Yosef say together that yayin that is mixed together, that wine which was mixed with water, you don't have to be concerned about gilo yayin. What's gilo yayin? So we learned elsewhere in Meseches Trumos that and the Mishnah says that there are 3 liquids that are prohibited because of giloi, that if they're left uncovered, and this is water, wine, and milk. And so therefore we're going to say that when it comes to the snake, we don't have to be concerned about that, because when it comes to yayin mazug, when it comes to the wine that was mixed together, we don't have to be worried about the snake getting into these uncovered liquids, because the snake doesn't like the wine once the water has been mixed in. And mavushal, if it's cooked, you don't have to be worried about the libation, because the idolaters don't use the wine that was cooked for libation. The Gemara is the question. So he says the wine was cooked. The Gemara is the question: do we have to be worried about giloy, about it being uncovered and getting a snake poison, or not? So Tashma, so Hayed Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi al Yaim Mevushal She'emo Mishum Giloy. So Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi taught about wine that was cooked, that you don't have to be concerned about Giloy. Rabbi Yanai Bar Shmuel Chalash. Yanai Bar Shmuel got sick. All Gabe Rabbi Shmuel Ben Zirud V'Rabbanan. L'shiyuli beit. So Rabbi Shmuel ben Zira and Rabbanan went up l'shiyuli beit to ask of him, meaning to say they went to see what he needs so that they could fulfill the mitzvah of Bikkur Cholim, of visiting the sick. Yes, we become in Bailu. They were sitting there and studying Torah, and they asked a question. Yaim avushal yesh bo mishum giloi or aim bo mishum giloi. If you have wine that's cooked, is there a concern of being uncovered or not? Amru Rabbi Shmuel ben Zira. Hachi Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish mishum gava rabba umani Rabbi Chia, Yaim Avushal Aim Mishum Giloi says explicitly that if it was cooked, you don't have a concern of Giloi. Amrulay, so he says, Nismoch, can we rely upon this idea to drink the wine that was uncovered if it was cooked? Machvilu Rabbi Yanai Bar Yishmael. He showed them. He made a image for them. He says, "Alive outside He says, "On me and on my neck." Meaning, you could drink it and you can rely upon me. So Shmuel va'avleit have Yosef. Shmuel, and there was this man who was not Jewish. His name was Avleit. He was idolater, but he was respectful of the halacha. So they were sitting together. Aisul kamayu chamra levashla. So they brought to them wine that was cooked. So mashcha iliyade. So Avleit said, "Oh, I'm not going to touch it," because he knew that you're not allowed to touch wine because he was an idolater. Amar Shmuel, no. Shmuel said, "You can touch it. You don't have to be worried because it's cooked wine, so we don't have to be concerned about yain nesach." Amte Rabbi Chia, the maid of Rabbi Chia, iguyalahu chamra vivashla. So also her too. There was some uncovered wine that was cooked. So also coming to Ruchia, so she wanted to know if she could drink it. It's not a problem because it's cooked. Shame de Rav Ada Barava. So the attendant of Rav Ada Barava, Igule Chamra Meziga. So he had some wine that was mixed together with water and became uncovered. So he was worried. So I said, no, it's mixed with water, so you don't have to be worried about it being uncovered. Amar Papa Lo Amran Ela de Mazig Tuva. We only say this when it's mixed well. Of a mazig or shati mazig of a mazig mazig. But if it's not mixed well, you can drink from it. So the Gemara says mazig, meaning to say just the opposite. When do we say that you could drink from the wine that it was mixed? That's when it's mixed well. But if it's not mixed well, then the snake drinks from it and you can't drink from it. So the Gemara asks the question, does the snake really drink from wine that's not mixed so well? Rabbi Barafuna was walking along was going on a ship, and he had wine with him. And he saw that there was a snake that was slithering towards it to drink. He says to the attendant, meaning do something to make the snake not want to drink from it. And Shako Kalimaya and Shadabe. So the attendant took some water and put it in the wine, and the snake went away. So we see from here, when there's a little drop of water, the snake is not going to drink from it. We're towards the bottom of 38. So Gemara says, no, okay, the snake is going to drink from the wine mixed with water if he doesn't have to put his life at risk. But if he has to put his life at risk, he's not going to do it if it's just if it was mixed with water, even if it was just one drop. The Gemara says, you mean to say if the water is mixed with the wine, the snake won't drink from it, he won't risk his life. But Rabbi Yanai they were in this place called Be'achbure, and they were drinking from this wine that was mixed with water. Paslu chamra bekuva. And so what happened was they were drinking from this wine that was mixed with water, and so they had a little bit of wine left in the barrel. And they tied a little cloth over it. And then there was a snake that was a very entrepreneurial snake, and he saw this, and he wanted to drink from the wine. The shakal mayo rame bekuva, and the snake was bringing water from his mouth and throwing it into the barrel. Ad the mele bekuva, until the barrel became filled with water that was mixed with the wine. And and that cloth went off. Vishasi, and the snake drank from it. So we see from here, even though the wine is mixed with water, the snake will drink with it. So the Gemara says, yeah, the snake only drinks from the wine that he mixes with water, but not that we mix with water. If he mixes it with water, he drinks it. If others mix it with water, he doesn't. So we see that the Gemara is showing that if we mix it, you could drink from the water. But the Gemara doesn't like this answer because it says Rav Ashi says Vitem Ramashasha Peruke was Sakanta. You're giving Perutzim, you're giving explanations that why you could drink from this water. You're making it more dangerous to drink from this water as a consequence. You can't give Peruko Sakante. For something that's dangerous, you're going to come and knock out proofs. You can't rely on that. For sure, it's not the case. For sure, it's prohibited. Meaning, say a terrorist is good if it's theoretical, but when it comes to something, your life is in danger. It's not. It's not going to be okay. And indeed, we paskin to be strict. If it's mixed water, if it's wine that's mixed with water, you have to be concerned that it is uncovered. If it is uncovered. That the Rambam has this, but it's not clear why the Shulchan Aruch doesn't. And also you have to be concerned that it not be touched by an idolater. If it's cooked wine, then we're not concerned if it was left uncovered. There's no concern about yayin nesach with wine that was once cooked. Shame Rav Chilke bar Tuva Igleahu Kista Demaya. So he had like a measurement of water, and it was uncovered. Vave Naim Gabe, and he was sleeping next to it. Also Gabe Rav Chilke bar Tuve. So he came to Rav Chilke bar Tuve to ask him about it. Amrei Hare Amru Amos Yashan and he says, no, the snake is going to be afraid of that water because you're sleeping right next to it. He won't touch it. How do you be a mama of a balaylo? That's only during the day, but not at night. At night, there's no fear about it. Below he, it's not the case. Loshna be a mama, loshna be a balaylo. It doesn't matter if it's during the day or if it's night. It's a big problem. Loshna be a mama, loshna be a balaylo, that the snake won't touch you, the drink, if you're right next to it. Amos Yashan and Lo Amrina, that we're going to say we don't say that, and so therefore it doesn't matter if you're sleeping next to it, that you have to be concerned. Rav did not drink from the water of an Aramean. He said, you don't know if they were careful about the water being uncovered. But from a widow's house, he drank it. Amar Sircha the Gavra Nikita. He says she's going to still follow the customs of her husband. Sirka the Gavra Nikita. She's still going to follow those customs. Shmuel didn't drink the house from the water from a widow. Amar Reisley Master the Gavra. He said she's probably no longer concerned about what her husband's thinking because he's deceased. She's not covering the water. But from an Aramean, Shasi. He would drink it. He would say, okay, they're not careful about wine that was revealed, but I'm in a karusa miyakapti. But on the pecking of the chickens, he would, meaning to say, I'm in a karusa to make sure it's clean and not dirty. That he would be careful about, and you wouldn't be able to drink, and therefore he would stop you from drinking. And so therefore he'd stop the snake from drinking and keep it clean. Alternatively, Rav didn't drink from the Aramean, but he drank from the widow. Shmuel didn't drink from either one, for different version. There are three wines. You don't have to be worried if it's uncovered because the snakes don't like these wines. These are the wines. Chad, a sharp wine. This is a very spicy wine. Mar, bitter wine, and matok. Bitter and sweet wine. So the spicy, bitter, and sweet wine. I thought all wine is one of those things, either bitter, or spicy, or sweet, but that's what they say. What is the chad? The chad is what's this chad? Is chamar upalpulin. This is wine that they added pepper and therefore it became very spicy. Amar, what is the bitter? Afstintin. This is basically they threw in this like type of herb, or maybe some call it vermouth. Rashi says elsewhere. The Aruch says it's vermouth, and that's very bitter. And matok is made barg. This is a very sweet, it's a very fancy wine. Barg means meshubach, very good wine. All these the snakes don't drink, so you don't have to be worried about it being uncovered. This thing that's called karina, you don't have to worry about being uncovered. Snakes don't like it. My karina, this is sweet wine that comes from this place called Asya. Amaravo Bimkomo, in a place where they make this wine in Asya, Yeshvo Mishum Giloi. Then you have to be worried about it if it's uncovered because the snakes recognize it. My timer, Hamar Medino. That's the wine of the country, and the snakes like that wine because they're used to it. Okay, Amarava Hai Chamra de Ikrim. So now we have the wine that began to turn into vinegar. So once it's vinegar, you don't have to be concerned about the libation or the uncovered wine and the snake bite. So the Gemara explains, Ad Tolasiyam, in the first 3 days that it begins to turn, Yesh Bo Mishum Gila, you still have to worry and not leave it uncovered. And also Mishum Yain Netzach. The first 3 days you have to be worried. We're on top of Lamed Amud Beis. It can't be Elach, but from that point on, Ein Bo Mishum Gila, Ein Bo Mishum Yain Netzach. From that day on, where you don't have to be worried about Gila, you don't have to be worried about the Yain Netzach. Nardai, Amri, the Nardai say, I feel boss or Tlasiyoma, even after 3 days, Chashina Mishum Giloi. We have to be concerned about the Giloi. My time, Zimnin Mikre Shasi. Because even after 3 days, the snake might come along and drink from it, even after 3 days. Maybe he's not sure what it is. Who knows what, but he might come and drink. When the wine first starts to become grape juice, you don't have to be worried about it being uncovered. The kamat sisa. So when is this process of becoming the grape juice? That's only the gimel yom in the first 3 days. Hashachayim embom mishum giwai. This is a shachayim we've had a few times already in the last few days. This is a cress that's, but here it's mixed into the utensil and ground up. And then you put in wine or water, so then you don't have to be worried about it being uncovered because the snakes don't drink it. But outside of Israel, they were strict about it. Well, that's why there's no vinegar. But if there is vinegar in it, migribu, the snakes don't like it, so it's okay. You don't have to be worried. Kuta chababli. This was a drink. Kuta chababli. It says Rashi says it's strong like vinegar. And basically, they would take this bread, let it get moldy, and put some milk in it with it, and let that get moldy. And so then it was very potent, and it had alcoholic, like it's fermented milk, so it's alcoholic, but the snakes didn't like it. But outside of Israel, they were strict about it. Amar Rav Menashe, and so Menashe says, yeah, but if you have snake bites in it, then you have to be careful. May tif tif. If you have the water dripping, tif tif, like a drip drip. The dripping water the snakes don't go to, so there's no concern. Tif That's where it's continuous dripping. The entrance to a fig, the mouth of a fig. You don't have to be worried about it being uncovered. Come on. Like this Tana, the Tanya Rabbi Lezer Omer, Ocho Adam Anavim V'Teina B'Layla Beino Choshesh. That you can eat the figs and the grapes at night, and you don't have to be concerned about a snake biting it. You can just eat them. Why? Shenemer Shomer Pesayim Hashem. God watches over the fools. What does that mean? Shomer Pesayim Hashem. That God watches over the fools. That if this is a practice which people do, typically speaking, human beings do this, Hashem is going to watch over them. If they don't realize it's dangerous, and they're and they'll be protected by God. So the Torah's Chaim asked the question: why? What's different about grapes and figs that HaKadosh Baruch Hu watches over a person and makes it that he's not going to eat if the snake ate it from all the other things that we say you can't eat it if it's uncovered. So what is it different by a fig and a grape? So he answers, um, just like God specifically watches the fools, Shomer Pesayim, and not the Chachamim, because the Chachamim can watch themselves that they don't come to this milchshal, they don't come to this error, but the fools can't watch themselves. So too with respect to liquids like wine, water, and milk, that you always put them in a utensil, a person can watch them and cover them from the snakes. And so therefore God doesn't have to watch them. But the grapes and the figs, you can't do them because you need to dry them outside. So it wouldn't work. So that's what he said. Okay, fine. Amar Rav Safra Mishim Rabbi Yeshua to Roma Shloshim Minei Arasein. There are three types of venom of a snake. Shalbach or shokea. If the young snake's venom goes down to the bottom. Shalbenoni mifafeya. The middle-aged snake's venom like rests in the middle. Vishalzakein saf. And the older snake's venom rises to the top. Mar says, Lamemer, you mean to say the kama de kashish kachish, that the older the snake, the weaker it gets, kachish chela. But didn't we learn Shlosha called Manshem Askinin Vura Mitosefasben? But don't we learn that three creatures, as long as they get older, they get stronger, they get Gvura. And what are these three? They're like dog, Nachash, V'chazir, the fish, the snake, and the pig. So why you say their venom is weaker when we say that they get stronger? So the Gemara says, so the Gemara explains, Koach osufi hu dekamosif zihira kalish. So he says, yeah, they get stronger, but their venom is weaker. What do you mean? If their venom is weaker, then how are they stronger? So you say, so we have to take a big mussar from this, that true strength does not come from a venomous bite, but true strength comes from knowing kuyo. So then the Gemara tells us, why do we need this halacha to know where the venom is resting? So why do we need to know that the venom of a young snake goes all the way to the bottom? The Gemara will tell you why. If you have a barrel of wine that became uncovered, even though the first 9 people drank from it, and they didn't die, don't come along as a 10th person and drink from it, because there was an incident where 9 people drank from it, they didn't die. And then the 10th one came along and he died. And Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah, Zeu Shokea. That's the halacha of Shokea, because it goes all the way to the bottom. So don't think you're okay, even though people drank from it. A modern Hebrew is a watermelon, but in the Gemara, it's really just like a regular melon. Sheniskalta, that it became uncovered. Well, first of all, this is interesting. Didn't we just say above that we're only worried about the liquids, the wine, the water, and the milk? And here we're worried about the avatiach, which is something else. So anyway, we see it's not so simple that if you have a concern about anything, you have to be careful about it. Rebbe, and some say this is Rebbe Yirmiyah, Zeu Shokeh. This is the halacha of Shokeh. Okay. Tana Rabbana, Mayim Sheniskawu, Arei Zeh. So now we learn another halacha, a very important halacha, not to use this venomous liquid in a public place, which would cause damage to people. Mayim Sheniskawu. If you have water is uncovered, Arei Zeh lo yishpachem b'rishus harav. You can't pour them into the public. Below yarbitz b'hanas habayis. Don't use it to clean because you're using pollutants that are dangerous. Well, you gabel b'han as a teeth. Don't use the bricks because it's like asbestos in the bricks. It can damage people. Well, yashka man will behemto will behemas chavero. Don't use it to feed your animal or your friend's animal. Well, yirchatz b'hem panav v'yadav ragov. Don't use them to wash because maybe there's poison in the liquid and now you're spreading it. And if the place on your body where there are cracks, then you can't use it to wash. But ain't sirta, but if there's no cracks, it's permitted. Isn't the chayim the same as the initial position, that a place that you can't wash? Meaning to say Also, Tanakama says you shouldn't wash your hands and legs, and the Acher was also saying that because they have a lot of folds of the skin. So the Gemara says, "Ika benel gava yava gava regal v'rumane da'ape." No, the concern, the distinction is the back of the foot and the back of the leg, and the jaws underneath the jawbones underneath the eye. So the so according to Tanakama, it's not allowed. According to the Acher, it's permitted. Amar Mago Yashka Man You're not allowed to use them to feed your animal or your friend's animal. So, but didn't we learn in the Brisa that you're allowed to give it to your own animal? So why can you give it to your own animal if it's poisonous? Where it says Kitanya, that which it says in the Brisa that you're allowed to feed your own animal, that's Lashunra. Shunra, that's for his cat. That snake bite does not damage a cat because a cat typically eats snakes and they have no problems. And the Gemara says, well, if that's the case, you should be able to feed it to your friend's cat without a concern. So the Gemara says, no, no, your friend's cat is a problem because it's a weak, it's going to get weak from the poison of the snake, and so therefore it'll damage its friend. So the Gemara says, but why don't we say that his own cat will get weaker from the poison? So Gemara says, yeah, harder bay. Even though his own cat gets weaker, it'll regain its strength. And Gemara says, the chavri nami harder. Well, his friends also will recover. Yeah, but it might not recover in time. Zimnin de zabune. Sometimes he's going to want to sell it, and in the meantime, he's going to lose it. Okay, so this is today's daf. God willing, I'm going to try and do at noon again today the daf for Shabbos. Baruch Hashem. And if anybody has any questions,